Chicken has one job: taste amazing. But some fast food chains have turned it into a gamble you did not sign up for. Because that crispy golden piece you are craving might not be fresh chicken at all. It could be leftover scraps glued together, soaked in laboratory brine, coated in a thick layer of breading, and fried in oil that has been through more shifts than the employees. So today, we are exposing 7 chicken chains that could ruin your appetite before your first bite even reaches your mouth. Stick around until the end, because one chain on this list has been caught serving chicken that customers describe as sticky, slimy, and almost gummy inside. And millions of people still order it without knowing what they are actually eating. Number 1, KFC. KFC is the biggest name in fried chicken. The red stripes, the smiling kernel, the promise of crispy perfection in every bucket. It feels like the safest place on earth to order chicken. But behind that comforting branding, things are not always as fresh, crunchy, or satisfying as they look in the commercials. Let us start with the chicken itself. Many customers expect a tender, juicy piece of poultry. Instead, you can end up with meat that tastes dry, stringy, or oddly soggy under the breading. Former employees have openly admitted that when the kitchen is rushed, chicken pieces do not always get the proper rest time after frying, which traps steam inside and turns that crispy skin into a soggy shell. And if sales are slow, chicken can sit under heat lamps long past its prime, getting tougher by the minute. Then there is the oil. Fryers are supposed to be filtered and refreshed regularly, but multiple workers claim it is common for oil to be stretched far beyond its recommended lifespan, especially during busy periods. Old oil means darker breading, bitter aftertaste, and food that absorbs way more grease than it should. Great for profits, terrible for your stomach. The sides tell their own story. Mashed potatoes from powdered mix, gravy made from packets. Even the biscuits, usually a point of pride, arrive pre-formed and frozen. There is less Southern kitchen charm here and much more industrial assembly line. And the sodium. A typical KFC chicken breast contains over 1,000 milligrams of sodium all by itself. Add fries, a biscuit, maybe some dipping sauce, and suddenly you are halfway to your daily limit before you are halfway through your meal. KFC still tastes nostalgic when everything goes perfectly, but the problem is, it rarely does. Number 2, McDonald's. McDonald's sells more chicken than almost anyone on the planet. Nuggets, McChickens, McCrispy sandwiches, they make it look easy, but ease is exactly the issue, because the chicken you order here is built for speed, not quality. Let us start with the nuggets. Cute shapes, crunchy coating, fun to dip, but inside that breading is not a simple piece of chicken breast. Most McDonald's nuggets are made from heavily processed meat. Multiple reports show that the chicken is ground, mixed with filler ingredients, and formed into shapes before being par-fried, frozen, shipped, and reheated at the restaurant. That fluffy texture inside is not natural muscle, it is a carefully engineered blend designed to stay consistent whether you order in New York or Nevada. Their sandwiches are not innocent either. The McChicken patty has been criticized for being thin, over-salted, and so processed that some customers claim it tastes more like a sponge than poultry. Even the premium chicken fillets can be hit or miss depending on how long they have been sitting in a warming cabinet. When the lunch rush slows down, moisture builds up, and the crispy coating slowly transforms into something closer to wet cardboard. And cleanliness issues have followed the chain for years. With high volume, fast turnover, and intense pressure to move the line, corners can get cut. Employees have admitted that cross-contamination can happen when raw and cooked chicken are handled too quickly in the same space. One small mistake during a rush can turn a simple sandwich into a risky bet. Then there is the sodium. A 10-piece nugget order has over 800 milligrams before you add sauce. Pick a spicy sandwich and you can hit more than half your recommended daily sodium in a single meal. Add fries, a soda, maybe a dessert, and your arteries are filing a complaint. McDonald's chicken might be fast, but fast does not always mean safe or satisfying. Number 3, Golden Chick. Golden Chick sounds like a place where you would find crispy, mouth-watering chicken made with Southern pride. The name alone promises something juicy, golden, and worth craving. But many customers walk away with a very different experience, one that leaves more questions than satisfaction. One of the most common complaints about Golden Chick is the texture of the chicken itself. Reviewers frequently describe it as slimy on the inside, even when the outside looks perfectly fried. That gummy, sticky feeling is a sign that something went wrong long before the chicken hit the fryer. It could be undercooking, it could be improper storage, or it could be the heavy use of brining and processing that leaves the meat feeling more like a chewy sponge than a real piece of poultry. Then there is the breading. Thick, uneven, and often overly greasy, the coating can feel like the main event while the meat barely shows up. Former employees have said that during busy hours, the chicken pieces are sometimes rushed through preparation, leading to breading that turns soggy right after frying. Other times, the oil is not changed when it should be, which makes the breading taste burnt and stale. Speaking of oil, multiple customers have reported fried chicken with a strange aftertaste, almost like the fryer had not been cleaned in a long time. Old oil breaks down into compounds that not only taste bad, but can irritate your stomach long after the meal is gone. Quality control is inconsistent across locations. Some stores maintain high standards. Others seem to skip essential steps like proper holding times or temperature checks. When chicken sits too long under heat lamps, bacteria do not just take a break, they take over. Golden chick might look delicious on the outside, but if your food feels sticky or tastes off, that is your signal that this golden bird might be better left alone. Number 4, Bush's chicken. Bush's chicken is a regional favorite for some Texans, especially in smaller towns where it feels like the local go-to for fried comfort food. But for every devoted fan, there is someone walking out disappointed, confused, or even a little concerned about what they just ate. The biggest issue with Bush's chicken is inconsistency. One location might nail the seasoning and texture, while another serves chicken that tastes like it was cooked by a completely different chain. Customers report everything from undercooked tenders that are pink in the middle to overcooked pieces so tough you need strategy and determination to get through a single bite. And when chicken texture swings from rubbery to rock solid in the same day, something is clearly wrong behind the scenes. Cleanliness complaints are not uncommon either. Multiple reviews suggest that some kitchens struggle with basic organization during rush hours. That is when shortcuts happen. Gloves do not get changed, raw and cooked foods sit too close together, and trays that should be swapped out keep getting reused long past the point of safety. One small mistake in handling raw poultry can turn a family meal into a very bad night. Then there is the seasoning issue. Sometimes flavorful, sometimes bland, and sometimes so salty your tongue starts begging for mercy. When seasoning becomes a guessing game, your meal becomes experimental science instead of comfort food. Another concern comes from the holding practices. Chicken can sit under heat lamps for long periods, drying out until the inside feels like sawdust wrapped in breading. Combine that with oil that does not always seem fresh, and the result is fried chicken that leaves an oily aftertaste and a heavy, uncomfortable feeling hours later. Bush's chicken has potential, but potential does not fill your stomach. Quality does, and too often, the quality here depends on luck. Number 5, Church's Texas chicken. Church's Texas chicken has been around for decades, promising bold seasoning, crunchy skin, and big portions that feel like a celebration in a box. On the outside, it looks like a reliable place to grab classic fried chicken without breaking the bank. But once you peel back that crispy coating, the experience can be a lot less exciting. A major complaint that shows up again and again is quality control. Customers report chicken that arrives lukewarm, rubbery, or strangely chewy inside. When poultry is not cooked evenly, it is not just unappetizing, it can be unsafe. Some diners have even posted photos online of chicken that looked worryingly underdone in the center. That is not the kind of surprise you want hiding underneath breading. Then, there is the grease factor. Church's is known for heavy breading and rich flavor, but that can quickly turn into a greasy overload when the oil is not properly maintained. Old oil gives everything the same muddy taste no matter what you order. It also leaves a thick film on your tongue that water alone cannot fix. People love fried chicken, but no one asks for a side of regret coated in grease. Cleanliness issues also surface in reviews of certain locations. With many Church's franchises operating on tight budgets, you might walk into a store that looks spotless or one that looks like the kitchen has been battling chaos for hours. Dirty surfaces, sticky floors, and overflowing trash bins are not encouraging signs when you are about to eat meat that needs careful handling. And let us talk about sides. biscuits that crumble into dust, mac and cheese that tastes like it came from a can, coleslaw that somehow manages to be sour and watery at the same time. When the whole meal feels like a downgrade, even great chicken would struggle to save it. Church's has loyal fans, no doubt, but if you show up on the wrong day, you might leave wondering if Texas flavor was supposed to taste like disappointment. Number 6, PDQ. PDQ markets itself as people dedicated to quality, which sounds like the kind of place where chicken would be handled with extra care. Fresh, never frozen, made to order. That is the promise. But not every customer is convinced. In fact, a lot of people walk away wondering where exactly the quality part got lost. The most common complaint about PDQ is the texture of the chicken. Instead of juicy tenders that pull apart cleanly, diners often describe a mushy interior and breading that falls off the moment you take a bite. That separation usually means the chicken retained too much moisture before cooking, or the breading process was rushed. When chicken is wet on the outside going into the fryer, you are not getting crispy, you are getting soggy disappointment. Then there is the flavor problem. PDQ's tenders can look perfect but taste strangely bland, as if the seasoning never made it past the breading. You end up relying completely on dipping sauces to make the meal edible. And when a restaurant needs sauce to save the chicken is not doing its job. Oil freshness is another concern. Some customers report a fishy or burnt aftertaste that suggests the fryer oil was overdue for a change. Old oil does not just affect the flavor, it affects your stomach hours later. Heavily used oil breaks down, absorbs excess grease into the breading, and turns a simple meal into a digestive negotiation. Even the cleanliness gets called into question. Reviews mention sticky floors, cluttered prep counters, and rushed staff who are juggling too much at once. That kind of environment does not pair well with raw poultry handling. One slip in food safety can turn a quick lunch into a health problem. PDQ claims to be the fresh alternative in a sea of frozen chicken chains. And sometimes it is. But when they miss the mark, the meal goes from dedicated to quality to pretty darn questionable. Number 7, Wingstop. Wingstop has built an entire brand around one thing: wings. Bold flavors, saucy fingers, and the idea that every box feels like a victory. But when a restaurant only does chicken, the chicken needs to be perfect every single time. And that is where Wingstop starts to fall apart. One of the biggest complaints is texture. A lot of customers expect crispy skin with juicy meat underneath, but end up with wings that are rubbery, overly fatty, or barely coated in sauce. When the fryer temperature is not right or batches get rushed, the skin turns soft and chewy before it ever reaches your table. Instead of a satisfying crunch, you get something closer to flabby skin trapped under a layer of oil. Speaking of oil, Wingstop's wings absorb a lot of it. Former employees have admitted that during busy nights, the oil does not always get filtered or changed as frequently as it should. Old oil gives everything the same bitter aftertaste and leaves your stomach feeling like it just ran a marathon made of grease. If you have ever felt that heavy, queasy lag after a Wingstop meal, you probably met that oil firsthand. Portions can be hit or missed too. Some wings arrive tiny, barely any meat, mostly bone, and somehow still overcooked. Add inconsistent sauce coverage to the mix, and you could get 5 wings that taste amazing and 5 that taste like disappointment dipped in hot sauce. Then there is restaurant cleanliness, which varies wildly by location. Sticky floors, messy sauce stations, and containers of wings sitting out too long have been reported by customers across multiple states. When a kitchen handles raw poultry at high speed, chaos is not charming. It is dangerous. Wingstop still has fans who swear the lemon pepper wings are worth everything. But when quality swings this hard from one order to the next, that loyalty becomes a risky bet. If your meal depends on luck, maybe it is time to roll the dice somewhere else. In all, these 7 chains have one thing in common. They make chicken look great on the outside while cutting corners behind the scenes. You deserve better than soggy breading, chewy centers, and mystery textures that leave you questioning your life choices. So the next time you are craving chicken, remember this list and trust your instincts. If it looks too good to be true, it probably came from a freezer. Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling us the worst fast food chicken you have ever had. Your story might be the warning someone else needs before their next bite.